I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything. All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong?
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Dispensing Doc is in. Went off patent some years ago. Generic form, tricyclinol. 1 hour of antidote, airborne cure for various ailments, parentis maximus wimpus, chronic or acute type, Bratus majoris, spousus laxicus. Anyway, delighted to have you with me here on the program. This is The Doctor Is In, Monday through Friday. The show depends upon you. It doesn't depend upon me. They can get another host. Can't get another you. You call in with questions or comments, something that perplexes you, befuddles you, frustrates you, about kids, about spouses. No, I'm not going to do any therapy here. I can't do that. I can't diagnose, and I certainly can't move into the turf of another therapist. But I can give a few suggestions, educations, something that might expand your awareness of what might be happening in your particular situation. 877 57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program. 877-573-7825. You will get Eric Dumont, who is call screaming today. And Andrew Kruchek is the producer man who tells me when I have to be quiet and when the breaks end and when they start. Delighted that you are with me. Before I go into the monologue, shameless push for audience members. Good Lord permitting, October 28th and 29th, we are returning to Ann Arbor to tape 4 episodes of Living Right with Dr. Ray, the TV show, now in its 15th season. Man, I look back on those first shows, and I think, that's my son? Is my son doing the show? 15th season. It is a live audience show, because the audience is such a critical part of the show, and we have a lot of fun. Most people will say they had a great time. Many will stay. They came for the first show at 5:30 both nights, and they say, we're staying. We're staying, because we have a 7:15 show, too. You can come for as many shows as you want. You can bring the kids. You can bring the pets. We had one lady bring a goldfish. Yeah, we taped a show in Buffalo, and she came with a goldfish. Goldfish lasts like 3 days, you know. The one thing you hate to win at a fair for the kids, bring it home. All you got to do to sign up, Ave Maria Radio, one big long word, .net. Right there on the home page. Just sign up. We need to have some estimate of audience. But I would request this, please, if you do sign up, if at all possible, show up. Believe it or not. I'm trying not to take this personal. The no-show rate hovers around 20%. I know, that hurts. It hurts. Understandably, things come up. But I think sometimes when the night hits, the people say, I'm tired tonight. I don't want to go see that Roy Ganoli or Rick Gandhi or whatever that dude's name was. Now, we only have limited seating. Much of the time we don't, but this particular studio, Russell Video in Ann Arbor, is where it is. Most of you probably are familiar with it. Ann Arbor's not all that big. Try not to get stuck on the interstate belt in the city when you're coming to the program. That's right around rush hour, you know. We can only seat about... They're telling us we're trying to squeeze in 55 people per show. Now, a lot of the shows have 100 plus in some of the bigger venues that we travel around, but 55 is a good audience. So I would say that the seating is limited. Go to AveMariaRadio.net. very high profile on various media sites, not necessarily heavily on what is considered the legacy media, has been the aftermath of the tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA, young man, 31. Many people, formally and posting-wise, will say, I'm going back to church. I haven't been to church in 30 years. I need to go to church. And I wonder about this as a psychologist. What would be the push? When Charlie Kirk was alive, I didn't see at all on various posts of, I listen to Charlie Kirk, I like what he says about most things, if not about it, pretty much everything, and I like the fact that he's an unabashed Christian. I'm going back to church. I suppose that was there, but what is it about the tragic death of a high-profile person, especially one who makes no compunction about talking about his faith, that moves people? I need to go back to church. Is it death? Is it some kind of honoring the memory of? Is it he gave his life for this? Maybe I ought to think a little bit more about this whole Jesus thing? What it matters? What it's worth? I've wrestled with that. I'm not trivializing it. It's great. Great that it's happening. And clearly there's a lot of young people saying this. Where was it while he was alive? I'm sure it was probably there, but I don't suspect it was there in the numbers. They said they've now had, I think it's 59,000 requests to explore the possibility of a Turning Point chapter in their high school or college university. Now, prior to this, if I remember my statistics correctly, they were in about 1,100 high schools and maybe 900 or 1,000 college university settings, which is pretty good. That's pretty widespread. But what was it about his death that sparked this explosion of requests? Now, I don't know how many are going to follow through and actually put in whatever is needed to establish a chapter in their particular educational setting, but even if 5% do, they've just doubled their numbers. I wonder about this. Is it a high-profile death that reminds people of what's their mortality is? What's important in life? I remember after 9/11, the big thing was made of how many people were heading back to church and how crowded some of the churches were becoming. That faded. And of course, COVID put some heavy nails into that coffin. Nails which have not been pulled out. But it's puzzling to me. I wonder about it. What is it about the tragic death that motivates people to say, I need to make some changes? Why weren't they making the changes when they were hearing the message? I'd have to explore that for a while. 877-573-7825. Very much like to hear from you. Maybe you can help me understand that phenomenon. Or if you have a question about something in your life, something about the faith, how the two intersect, that'd be great. You make the show. This is Dr. Ray.
Hi, this is Ed Bahura with Sylvan Learning Centers. This is one of our many 5-star Google reviews.
I would like to take the time to thank all of the staff at Sylvan for helping my daughter achieve her goal of attending the University of Michigan Ann Arbor with a full scholarship. My daughter has been able to maintain all A's in math and increased her SAT score by 200 points as a result of attending Sylvan.
To learn more, call 1-800-EDUCATE or visit sylvanlearning.com.
Looking for a trusted contractor for your exterior home improvements? Call locally owned Mighty Dog Roofing today for a quote on roofing, gutters, siding, or windows. Mighty Dog Roofing uses premium products including Owens Corning shingles and James Hardy fiber cement siding, and they offer one of the best warranties in the industry through their OC Platinum Preferred status. Visit MightyDogRoofing.com today or call 833-MIGHTY-4. That's 833-MIGHTY-4.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. Want to celebrate some amazing anniversaries this year in France? We'll visit Normandy Beach to celebrate our heroic military for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Also, the 100th anniversary of the canonization of St. Therese of Lisieux. Join us this October for our Saints and Shrines of France and a visit to the newly renovated Notre Dame Cathedral.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity HealthShare is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more.
IQ raising. You don't really have to do anything but listen. We don't have official stats yet because we're still assessing people. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20-year listeners. I suspect there is an IQ raising effect. Can't prove it, but we're going to see if it's linear or if it's exponential. In other words, if you listen for 10 years, that's more than double increase in IQ. We'll find out. Now, Nathan here from British Columbia, Canada, way, way out there. I had the good fortune of being out that way a couple months back. He has rather an interesting scenario because more often you get frustrated parents saying, how do I get my kid to get out and be independent? Well, Nathan's saying, no, it'd be better if my son stays here. Hi, Nathan.
Hey, Dr. A. Thanks for taking my call.
Apparently your kid's a pretty good kid, right? Or you rather have him hang around the house?
Well, he's a fantastic kid. He is he's on fire for Jesus. He's hardworking. He's 19 years old. He's thinking about getting married.
Wow.
Even to the point of like my other two kids have moved out. We've got a large house. Even to the point if they were to get married, to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not sure, but traditional societies with extended family living together. He's saving all of his money for his future. I'm not saying that, at a certain point, if he to go out and to go on to do his own thing, but he's working in the family business. We spend a lot of time together, but he's a pleasure to have around. And
why does he want to leave? Nathan, why does he want to leave?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Why is he anxious to go?
He's not. I'm just questioning. I've heard a fair amount just listening to your program about, kids, my question is, given that there's no disharmony, to the contrary, there's a lot of harmony, do you think it's a bad idea that he would just continue living at home, even to the point as a newlywed?
No. I've often said, for parents to make that decision, it really always it comes down to what they see as the well-being of the young adult. Many of the people who are frustrated with their kids living at home at age 20, 22, 25, 30 is because they're uncooperative or they're disrespectful or they're drifting or they're showing no motive to become independent. But I've often said my son stayed at home until he was 26. He was in college. He was a pleasant young man, very cooperative, very respectful. I loved having him there. My daughter was just there. She finally moved out. She was 26. So, no, I don't see that as automatic that because you're a certain age you got to go. Although some people do say that, and that's their decision as parents. They say, it's time for you to go. Even though you're a wonderful human being and I love having you around, time for you to be independent. But in your case, if you're saying, this is a great kid, it's financially helping him out, doesn't sound like you're too nervous about him wanting to get married at age 19. I don't know how long he's known this young lady, but
they actually have their 1.5-year anniversary today.
Okay.
I got married at 35, and I didn't convert to Jesus as my Savior until I was 33. My advice to my kids is to get married younger, have kids younger.
And that used to be more common not so long ago in our Western culture. That's true. The marriage age now, if they do get married, the marriage age now is really creeping up. It's moving towards 30. So you're right. That is a situation, and of course that has direct effects on children and how many you can welcome from God. If your son wants to stay there, and in fact, if you say, we got a great place for you and your wife to stay, we love having you, all the more power to you, my friend. I think if you're asking, is there any kind of socially stunting going on if we do that, I don't think so. Why would there be?
Well, that's great to have that affirmed. Thank you.
Sure. Although you'll probably, the one thing you might have to watch is you'll want to give advice, especially if you see them living there and making their decisions. You'll want to give advice, and if it's welcome, great, but if it's not, be careful, because that can cause friction if you see that the advice is unwanted, and as long as the kids are not doing anything immoral or illegal, but it's more or less just a matter of the decisions they're making, you got to be probably slow to give the kind of guidance, especially if you see them resisting it. That's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And, I'm kind of one day at a time. It's just talking about getting married. It's hasn't happened yet, and we'll see how things go. But, it's been it's just very enjoyable. He's doing all the
sounds good
things that I sort of wish I was doing when I was 19.
He's more grown up at 19 than you were.
He shows more grace than I do sometimes now. So he really, I'm very proud.
That's sweet. That's nice to hear.
Very
nice
thankful for him. Yeah.
Tell him I said hi. Thanks, Nathan.
All right, I'm going to play back this call for him. Thank you, Dr.
Sure.
Ray. Bye.
See ya. All right, see what else we got going on. There's some good calls up there. Let me get to all of them. Elizabeth from Michigan. She finds herself being agreeable. Well, I can get her over that, because I can be so disagreeable that when she'll try to agree with me, she'll go, I can't even agree with that guy. And that would be exactly what I want her to do, to not be so overly solicitous. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
I can get you to be disagreeable. Watch. No, I won't.
That'd be fun.
Why do you think you're overly agreeable?
I've been trying to figure that out. Just today I was listening to someone trying to propose I get involved in something, and I felt my head nodding when she asked if I was interested, and I wasn't. And I just thought, what am I doing? You know, it's kind of one of those moments, like almost an out-of-body observing myself, like, why am I nodding right now? And I've been like this for years, and sometimes it's funny like today, but sometimes it's caused me a lot of distress. It's actually the source of some of the worst times in my life when I've gotten into, you know, whether it's kind of a relational thing, you know, just some really dark times. So I'd love to not be this way. It's pretty painful, and one of the number one things I don't like about myself.
Are you afraid somebody's not going to like you? Are you afraid that they're going to look at your not going along as some kind of difficult personality trait or something?
That maybe. Deep down, I don't care if no one likes me, but I think I'm definitely conflict avoidant, and it's really stressful. It feels like a lot of stress when even a small conflict comes up. Anxiety or whatever you want to call it flares up.
Because if you don't immediately agree, they may push on you.
Right.
Well, you need, I think, a remark to get yourself out of it. Something like, well, I'm going to have to think a lot about that. There you go. And most people will let you go. They're not going to call you 2 days later and go, Elizabeth, have you thought about it? Yeah, I'm still thinking. I don't really know when I'll come to a conclusion about that. That's all you're doing. You're just quietly ducking it with legitimate reason. I got to think about that one. You don't have to give them a You don't have to say, well, you know, I'm looking for places to cut some of my activities, and that might not be something I can fit in. No, don't do that. Because as soon as you do that, you're opening yourself up for them to dispute your reasons. Well, Elizabeth, it doesn't take that long. They only meet once every 2 weeks. It's on a Friday afternoon, and that's usually a time when nobody's doing anything, and it's only for an hour, and we really, really could use you there because, you know, you're so helpful. No, just to say, I gotta think about that one. That's an easy way to get out of it.
I like that. Not giving a reason.
You have to give her
no. Explaining myself.
You're explaining yourself because you think you have to justify. You have to justify anything. I get a lot of requests for various things. Would you write an introduction to this book? Would you read this book and then write a testimonial for it? And I simply can't. There's no way. So I simply say, thank you for thinking of me, but I get so many requests I'm not able to meet them all. God bless and good luck with your venture. And if they think, what a jerk, well, okay, whatever. I think there's something in you that's just afraid of disappointing someone or having them think less of you or even in the extreme thinking, so you call yourself a Christian, huh, Elizabeth? Now, I'm asking you to do something that is a nice piece of volunteer work, or I'm asking you to help this situation, and you're ducking it. Huh. I got that once. I was in the evangelical world, and somebody had a particular ministry. And they said, Ray, you're perfectly suited for this ministry. Why don't you do this? And I said, I'm sorry, that's not something I want to do. That's not something I can get involved with. They got mad. They got mad. Their attitude was, well, this is important to me, so it should be important to you. Elizabeth, without getting too psychologically into this regarding why you're so afraid to be non-committal, just simply say, thank you for thinking of me. That's an idea I'll have to think about. please give me a call if you would like. Your calls mean a lot to me. Very helpful. I learn more from you than you learn from me. I'm pretty sure about that. Interesting. A mom here. She's a guardian of a little boy. I don't know how this little guy came into her custody. We'll find that out in a second. But it sounds like the poor guy's had a little bit of a turbulent, well, more than a little bit, a very turbulent early years. Hi, Anonymous.
Hello.
Thanks
Good
for calling.
afternoon.
Thanks for calling.
Hi. Okay. This little boy came into my custody because years ago I used to run a food pantry, and his mother was begging for food, and she was still pregnant with him, and they had a 2-year-old also. And the father was being abusive. They weren't married. There was like 30 years difference. So then the mother left, and the father had the baby, the 2 children, and I thought he was a good man, and I was trying to help him out and stuff and giving him extra food. But come to find out, 8 years later, the boy was 8 years old, I kept in contact with both boys and the dad. The dad had to go in for surgery, and he almost passed away, and we got the kids, and nobody had knew how bad they were physically abused. It started coming out slowly while dad was sick. But in the meantime, I've had him for I had him a little over a year. He's such a kind-hearted, sweet little boy until he gets upset and angry and has his flashbacks of what had happened. And in the meantime, I go to church, and they were taught a little bit about church. And so I've been teaching him more. He's been asking to be baptized and wants to know a lot about God. So I took him to Sunday school last week and stuff, but he's been severely abused by his dad, so much so that he was told he would be killed and all this other stuff. But come now, he's having these, sorry, Lucy, stop. He's been having these hallucinations where he's in hell with dad, and he has a knife, and dad told him he killed all these people, and now he has to go kill his brother and me and my husband, and he doesn't want to, and he asks for God. Now, this is what he hears in his head. So he was shivering one day.
How old is he, Mom?
He will be 10 next month.
You've had him for how long?
And I've had him for a year. His mother left when he was a couple days old. And his dad raised him, but took him to different houses and stuff, and he was abusing those houses as well. My dad was abusing those people. So this is the first real home he's ever had.
Are you worried about his threats, or do you think these things are just tormenting thoughts that he doesn't want at all?
I don't know if they're tormenting thoughts he doesn't want is all. I do have him in counseling. He is on medication. He has tried to kill himself a number of times. Yeah.
Wait a minute. This little 9 to 10-year-old boy has already had suicide attempts?
Yes, he's had 4 since I've had him. And
oh my! That is so rare for a kid that young. What kinds of attempts?
He's trying to hang himself. He ran away from his therapist, ran in the middle of the street, trying to get hit by cars. He also has a 12-year-old brother that's also had suicide attempts, too, since they've been in our custody. They'd rather die than go back to their dad. And the little boy keeps saying, I'd rather die because I don't want to remember this anymore. So now that he's been going to church, and he met one of the church members, he met one of them doing something else because we put him in baseball because he loves baseball. And he wants to know more about God. He wants to get baptized, and he's getting angry now with the priest because the priest says he's got to wait 2 years. But he's not angry. He's just like, why? I want God now. I want God to save me. I love God. He really does love God. He listens to music. He sings for all God's music all the time. That's what he's into.
Is the therapist helping? Is the therapist helping him to embrace God?
Yeah, his therapist is whatever. She told him whatever makes him coping skills and makes him feel better, just go ahead and do that. And believe it or not, her uncle is a priest, but she's not heavily into the church. It's just like kind of like God's coming everywhere around this child, and I just want to know: do I keep going and bringing him to church every day and pushing this, or am I?
Well, why? If he wants to go, why are you doubting yourself?
That's just the way I am. I want to make sure. I love this boy so much. He calls me mom. He calls me dad. I've loved him ever since the day I met him. You know, I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right. I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to hurt this boy in any way.
Obviously, with this kind of history, for me to comment on that would be just a wild shot in the dark. But it would seem, if he's asking you, please help me, I'd like to be closer to God, and God is, for him, is not a coping mechanism, it's a reality. So whatever you can do to introduce him to God, maybe you can take him to adoration with you. Maybe you could read him Bible stories. You could do those kinds of things to let him see that Jesus will protect him and Jesus will take away these fears, and to the degree that you can reassure him he's not going to go back with his dad, that's not going to happen, so he doesn't even have to worry about that at all, that would be a lot that you can do.
Yeah, the only bad thing is his dad keeps trying to get him back, and we have to go back to court every 2 or 3 months. They haven't arrested Dad yet. They're working in the process of doing that.
I think to the degree that you can reassure him that it is highly unlikely, as you understand things, that Dad is going to get custody again, that he's safe with you. He is safe here, and that how much you love him, and for him to try to hurt himself would just break your heart. And I'm sure he loves you, and he feels safe with you, so that if he knows how, when he thinks about hurting himself, how that hurts you, maybe, as you say, his sensitivity will kick in, and he'll say, well, even if I think about doing this, I don't want to do that to Mom. So that'll help a lot. But if you're asking me if there's a problem with sending him to church or going to church with him, if he wants to, I can't see any downside to that.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right for the little boy. I don't want to push him.
I would also talk to the priest and see if there's some way that you can shorten up the process of him not being baptized for 2 years. I don't know if this has to do with custody issues. I don't know it has to do with that particular parish's OCIA requirements. I don't know.
Yeah, I have legal custody, so I'm the legal guardian until he's 18, unless, of course, Dad gets him back. And, you know, basically every time we go, Dad isn't getting back, so the diocesan said that we could baptize him. And he went to the priest himself. He walked up to the priest and said, I need to be baptized right away. Well,
it sounds like you're giving him a real safe haven, my dear. Don't keep second-guessing yourself constantly. You got a lot of love for this little guy. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. That's the number to call. Would like to hear from you. Still got plenty of time left. See what we can do. How long I let the bumper music play. And the main reason is that I have to swallow the bite of my sandwich. People realize I'm working straight through my lunch hour right here from 1 to 2 just to be here. So, have a sandwich during the break, and then if Andrew starts the bumper music and I'm still swallowing, I got to let the bumper music play a while. Richard calling from Oregon. They adopted a 3-year-old, and he and his wife are in their 60s. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
How did that happen?
I really appreciate your show.
Thank you, sir. How'd that happen?
It was from a previous marriage that I had. One of the stepdaughters from that marriage had this child, and anyway, we ended up taking her in when she was 1, and we adopted her last year.
That'll keep you young.
We are raising we're raising a 3-year-old. I was going to retire like next year, but looks like that's been postponed a little bit. Also, we're having a little trouble with her. We've raised other children. My youngest adult child is 27. I've purchased several of your books, and I've actually sent them to my daughters on how to discipline and stuff. I didn't think they were doing it right, but I'm thinking now maybe I should.
Did you keep one for yourself?
Now, that's what I'm thinking now. Now I need one. Now that we're raising a 3-year-old, my wife, I should say, is raising her. I just kind of stand by and watch, but she's doing a really fantastic job. I listen to the show whenever I'm out patrolling on the river, and I really, really like your show. But the problem that we're having is with her eating. It'll take like an hour for her to eat. The other night, I'm sitting there, and I was kind of getting frustrated with it, and I mentioned something, and then my wife said, well, I think maybe you should try it. And she goes, I'm going to go sit out on the porch. And she sat out on the porch, and I was stuck with the task of trying to get her to finish her meal.
Well, Richard, I can tell you what not to say. Don't tell your wife, I understand why she takes so long, because sometimes I have a hard time getting your cooking down myself. Don't say that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've learned that when she's asked me what something tastes like. It's like if I tell her for real or not, anyhow, yeah.
Don't hesitate. That's kind of like saying, does these pants make my backside look big? You hesitate for 1 nanosecond, and no matter what you say after that, you're done.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But
why are you...
After she left, I got her to eat by me kind of helping her to eat. She ate, but of course my wife doesn't want us to do that, wants her to eat.
Is this little one normal weight and normal health?
Yeah, she is. She wasn't, when she came to us, she was in the 5% for her weight, and we ended up, through the proper feeding and all that, got her weight back up.
So I see a little bit why you're nervous about this, which is okay. First year or so, she was pretty neglected, and the food issue was something that apparently she either wasn't given enough food or she was not taking in food healthily, although she was just an infant. And now you're thinking, if we allow her, she won't eat at all. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Well, I've told that to my wife. I'm like, let's just wait till she's hungry. But I mean, she's hungry. She just takes some time. Sometimes she'll put food in her mouth, and my wife will have to say, chew and swallow, and then she'll chew it and she'll swallow it, and then take another bite. Well,
I have on those books that you so callously gave away.
Yeah.
There, in one of them, The Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime book, I have a chapter called
that's the one.
Mealies. In other words, these kinds of eating problems. Now, you got to assume several things, because I'm going to get email if I don't. 1, normal weight and health, or close to. 2, no kinds of food allergies or some type of sensitivity to all of that. Now, for the most part, that's not the way it is. Much of it is just a particular style in eating. So as the parent, are you going to sit there for an hour? Or if you say, no, my limit's 20 minutes. That's it. Then when it's time to have snack, and little kids like snacks. Snacks for little kids are great in between meals. But you don't feed them in between meals. You say, here's your snack, and then when the meal comes around. Because if indeed she's somewhat hungry, because last time you only went 20 minutes, she's likely to be a little more voracious about the meal. Likely. Now, it's a little experiment you'll have to do. But I think the frustration of you sitting there for an hour and saying, okay, try this here. Here's a little bite of this. okay, you be the tunnel, I'll be the train, all this kind of stuff. You play those games to get her to eat because you're worried that if you don't, for whatever the reason, she'll revert to the way she was before you adopted her. Correct?
Yeah, that's part of the problem. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at this point, you check again with your pediatrician. Say, is it okay? Is it healthy enough for me to say I'm going to put a limit on how long we sit there, and then after that I'll clear it out. There'll be a snack in between meals, but then we won't eat again until the next meal. Rather than going through all these gyrations, because sometimes, believe it or not, Richard, the gyrations actually keep the problem alive. Because she's going to sit there. She's only 3. And it's like, okay,
she's almost 4.
Oh, okay, she's almost 4. So she's thinking, this is kind of cool. You know, they'll sit here with me for the whole time, and I'll putz around, and they'll putz around, and they'll try to figure out how to get me to have food, and this is fun. I like this. I'm getting all this attention. This is great.
Gotcha.
That can happen.
Yep. Yeah, because my wife's constantly telling her, take a bite.
No,
chew it, swallow.
I would not do that. I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. Unless there's some kind of physical problem, which I can't know from this distance.
No, and we don't make her eat stuff that she don't like. My wife will make her try stuff, and if she definitely doesn't like it, we definitely don't make her eat it. But another trick that my wife will use when she says that she's full, and she'll say, do you want a popsicle? And she'll say yes, and my wife says, well, you ain't full then.
Well, yeah, of course. So, and some kids are picky eaters. But you know the interesting thing about this, Richard, and I've pondered this. These kinds of food problems, especially with the little kids, are unique to our time and place. Because no society in human history has ever had the plenty and the variety of foods that we have. This is so bizarre. All of the selections that we have, the wild diversity of foods. I mean, you go look at a freezer case in a big grocery store, and the thing is 45 feet long, and it has 9 different drumsticks and 622 different flavors of ice cream. In most of human history, you ate to be alive.
Right.
And you wondered where your next meal was coming from. So, because of the fact that your little 3-year-old has so many options, I mean, you put all kinds of different food in front of her all the time, she can be selective. And a popsicle, well, she'll down a popsicle in about 2 seconds. But some of this other stuff is like, I can take it or leave it, until she gets hungry. So you do have biology on your side, and you do have the fact that she's normal weight, which is real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's one other thing you don't tell. Here's something you don't tell your wife. Don't say this either. Honey, with some of your cooking, I think we should pray after we eat.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. I'm a game officer, and I was stuck in Montana a few years ago, and she sent me with some food, and I won't say what it was. It was either chili or stew, whatever she made homemade. Anyway, I tried it, and she said, well, how'd you like whatever it was? And I said, well, I thought if I tell her I really like it, I'm going to get more of this. So I told her, I said, well, I really didn't like it that much. She was fine. You can have frozen burritos the rest of the time.
That's it. Bad move, man. Here's what you got, Richard. You got to be more subtle. You got to say, well, that grizzly was huge, and there was no way I was not going to put this food down in front of that grizzly and hope that he eats the food instead of me. That's what you got to be subtle.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And don't tell her the grizzly dropped over about 2 feet after eating the chili.
It scared the grizzly off.
That's right. Hey, God bless you. Thanks, Richard. See you, my friend.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, shoot. All right. I got to look at the clock, and I got to take a break. Thank you for keeping with me.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria Mutual Funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Do you feel as though life is flying past you? Are you desperate for a way to find moments of peace and quiet? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian Prayer Series, will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord, Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
Honey, did you ever call Mighty Dog Roofing of Ann Arbor for that free roof inspection?
I knew I forgot something.
Roof leaks can cause mold buildup or even roof collapse. Protect your family today by calling local Catholic Dan and Mary Flanagan at Mighty Dog Roofing for a free inspection of your roof, siding, or windows. Mighty Dog Roofing, 734-224-4916. That's 734-224-4916.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Way to go. Good Shepherd Radio, Jackson, Michigan. 11 years. 11 years on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Bob Look. I met Bob. Good man. And his team there at WJKN, AM and FM. So the AM you can only listen to in the morning, and then in the afternoon you have to... They don't have a PM station, do they? AM and FM. 11 years. Way to go, guys. Also, just another announcement here. Vatican Insider, Joan Lewis. That's Saturday, 5 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on these radio affiliates. Direct from the Eternal City. EWTN's Joan Lewis speaks with Vatican officials, visitors, about events affecting the Church and the world. I remember eating... my mind's on food there. I remember reading a fascinating article about choices. These psychologists did some study on this, and what they found was that with an awful lot of choices comes a certain amount of dissonance. The more choices you have, the more you're concerned about, did I pick the wrong one? Or you're overloaded. You go to buy a new car. Oh gosh, what if I didn't get the best deal? What if I didn't pick the right one? Look how many options there are. I'm not just buying transportation. What if that's not the color I want? And the more choices you have about anything, the more it can breed a sense of unsettlement. I wonder how much of that is at play with little kids and food. Obviously, day in and day out, they get a different variety of foods. And it's perfectly normal to say that certain ones are more appealing to their taste buds. Now, you got some kids that'll eat anything that doesn't eat them first. But most of us have preferences. When you're a little kid, your preferences are toward sweets and carbos. It's kind of what you want. It's natural as it unfolds to eliminate what you don't want. So therefore, when I sit down to eat, I'm not really excited about this. I'm not hungry enough to eat it yet. I mean, I just ate 3 hours ago, so I don't really need to eat this now. And it isn't among my favorites. I mean, I'd like it if you put 4 popsicles and a fudgesicle in front of me. I'll devour those babies. But the fact that this is... well, I don't really like this kind of bread. And that potato, that's not a French fry. It's kind of like a big old clunky potato. So it's very natural for them some of them, to go through a natural selection process, eliminating certain non-preferred foods, and generally that elimination gets bigger. And with it is a constriction of what foods are palatable to me, and therefore, when I don't have those, I'm more likely to develop some food delays. I'll sit here, I'll play with my food, I'll just kind of swish it around in my mouth for 3 minutes. I'll just do all kinds of things because, well, this isn't in my top 10. When's my top 10 coming around? Macaroni and cheese. I'll devour that. Give me macaroni and cheese. The choices sometimes get quickly whittled down to what is acceptable. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Eric Dumont, Andrew Kruchek, and all of you. Appreciate it so very much. Tomorrow, look back Friday. Go to AveMaria.net. Sign up for the TV show. I'd love to have ya. Walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.